In this video, I'm going to talk about one of the most forgotten about, neglected metrics of an e-commerce brand that can stop you from scaling your revenue and your profit. It can also be the reason why your ad performance is too low. That is average order value, AOV. So in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you some actionable tips that you can implement today to increase your AOV. All right, so let's dive in. The first thing I want to mention is AOV should not be measured as a standalone metric, and it should be measured together with conversion rate. And this is because these two metrics are linked. The higher the AOV, the lower the conversion rate, and vice versa in general, right? Of course, there are going to be some off cases, but from what I've seen, these metrics tend to work in balance, and the higher your price, the less number of people are going to convert, right? And usually that's the same vice versa, but yeah, that's what I've seen. So what we like to do is we like to use the following AOV to CVR, so average order value to conversion rate equation, to measure the effectiveness of the combination of these metrics. Okay, so we do AOV times CVR equals 250 as a minimum. The higher the better. And in this calculation, the conversion rate is the number without the percentage. To give you an example, let's just say your AOV is $87, your CVR is 2.8%. In the calculation, you would do 87 times 2.8 rather than like 2.8%, right? You would remove the percentage and just times it by that. This would give you 243.6, but this is below 250. It's very close, but technically too low. We either have to work on increasing AOV or CVR or both to get this number above 250. Now, important thing I want to mention here is if your AOV and conversion rate, if this calculation comes out to less than 250, it doesn't mean you can't achieve success. You're probably, maybe if you're below this already and your ads are performing well, you're like, well, that's not true because my ads are working, right? And really where this kicks in is when you're scaling, and you're scaling, you're reaching like a ceiling, wherever it is, and you can't seem to get past it. Because what happens is, as you spend more money on customer acquisition, your efficiency will drop, meaning it's going to be more expensive to acquire customers. So what happens is you need to work on other areas, other levers, AOV and conversion rate, to be able to offset that increase in customer acquisition cost, right? Now, where this plateau occurs is different for every business. We've seen it happen at the 180K mark revenue per month. For other brands, we've seen it happen at the $1 million per month. So very, very different. But if you see right now that you're below 250, try and start to do things that will increase that. Because if you're at 250 or above, trust me, it's easier to acquire customers at your target, right? At the moment, if you're struggling with customer acquisition cost, it's this is likely one of the factors as well, right? It's not the only thing, but it's likely one of the things that is creating some drag and holding you back from that potential, okay? So let's go through some ways to increase AOV. First one, very simple, is just increase prices. We've done this successfully for some brands that we work with, and this is really, really important to do price testing with. So a lot of times people think that a price increase is going to lead to major decreases in conversion rate, or it's going to upset customers or whatever. But if you A/B test the price, what we want to see is what is the AOV to CVR equation in mind? Because if we increase the price, we know that our AOV is going to go up, right? You should do price increases testing in like a siloed environment. What I mean by that is you don't want to also be testing like your new upsell or your new cart upsells at the same time, because if you increase the AOV, you won't know what caused it, right? So you really want to do this, keep everything else the same, just change the price, see what happens, right? And you want to look at price testing like a bell curve. So the best point to be is at the top of the bell curve, right at the top, because you're maximizing price, but also conversion rate and revenue. Now, you might be on either side of that, and your price may be too low. The only way to find out is to test increasing it and see what happens. Now, you want to look at the revenue, and you can model out revenue from this. So let's just say your price is currently $50. You say, okay, let's increase it to $60, and you test $60 or $50. Now, if your AOV increases to 60, let's just say, and your conversion rate goes from maybe 2.2 to 2.1, you want to see if you send 1,000, 10,000 visitors to the website and you have the AOV and CVR, what is the revenue from that, right? So you can model it out just in a spreadsheet. If you're using IntelliGems or some sort of A/B testing software, they'll also be able to tell you what the projected increase is over a month, or decrease, right? So the thing with price testing is because there's so many options, it's infinite, right? What you could test. You want to start by going anywhere from 5 to 20% up, and maybe you can also do the other way, right? You can decrease the price, and your conversion rate may increase, but here we're talking about increasing AOV, right? So the second option and thing you could do is a quantity break offer. Now, the offers I'm going to mention here, in the offers module in the classroom, I go much deeper into this. So I'm not going to do that here, but I'd encourage you to watch those, or if you have already watched them, like refresh and see what they are, because we've seen this work really well for increasing AOV. It's such a simple thing, right? You're just introducing a new offer structure that has 3 options. You're saying buy 1, buy 2, buy 3, or buy 1, buy 3, buy 6, 1, 3, 5, whatever it is. But the more you buy, the more you save is the whole notion here, and encourages higher cart value. So I definitely recommend testing that. It's not the best fit for all products because this usually is better for consumables, supplements, food and beverage, things that you would need a renewal on. But you can get creative with this, right? If you know that your customer can benefit from more than one product, then just try it, right? Even with apparel, you might think, well, that's not going to work. It can if you say buy 1 t-shirt, buy 2 t-shirts, buy 3, the more you buy, the more you save. It does work. So I think for those products that are not consumables, where it's not as obvious, you just have to be a little bit creative and think about how you can apply it. Upsells, of course, you should have these in place. 1 pre-purchase, 1 post-purchase. A pre-purchase one could be when someone clicks add to cart and get a pop-up with a one-time offer. It could be in the cart drawer, you have some offers in there. For some clients, we do both. It has to be tested. But on the post-purchase side, again, after they complete the purchase, you want to give them an offer, right? Just to add something to cart. You really want to test these as well. And the key thing here is make them no-brainers. Give them a good offer, first off, but also, give them something that they actually want, right? So you should be tracking the performance of these as well. Then you have bundles. They can be pre-built or build your own. It's pretty obvious here as to why this would increase AOV, because the price of a bundle is usually higher. And then finally, you can add shipping protection to every order. Optional for the customer, but you add it automatically. So customers can opt out, but what shipping protection is basically just protecting the customer. They pay like a small percentage of the cart amount, it's usually like a couple dollars, but it protects them again. It's like an insurance, right? In case that package goes missing or is lost or is damaged, they can appeal because they bought this insurance, right? But what this does is that it automatically adds a few extra dollars to every cart. So your AOV just increases instantly. You do want to look at the conversion rate, but what we've seen, conversion rate doesn't really take a hit when you add this. So that's what I've seen. Doesn't mean that is the truth for everything, but test it out. There are apps that you can use that allow you to do this. I think one of them is Nvidium. Trying to remember the name of the other one, but you can go on Shopify and look at like shipping protection apps. So that is the last point. And one last thing out on shipping protection, you want to see as well, like let's just say you test it out for a month or 2 months. Look at how many appeals you're actually getting, right? Because if someone appeals shipper protection, then you have to like replace that product, and that is obviously a cost to you. And what you might find is that, and what we've seen, that tends to be very, very low, right? If you were to like add up the increase in revenue by adding shipping protection to every order versus the expense of having to replace a few orders, you really want to see where you net out, right? Do you make or do you lose? And then you obviously make a decision from there. So that is increasing AOV. Hope this was helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.